Hello everyone and welcome to the Tavern. I'm the Dapper Bard. Today we'll be looking at role-playing in a tabletop game. This is a surprisingly complicated subject, and there is no way to go in depth on everything you could ever need to know about role-playing. That being said, I have prepared some tips and advice in order to help both long-time and brand new players improve their RP skills, in order to make everyone's gaming experience the best possible experience it can be. Role-playing is what separates TTRPGs from regular board games. Well, that and about a dozen or so extra rules, character growth, inventory management, story progression, and, well, you get the idea. Role-playing does allow both players and game masters to make the world feel more real. This can be done in a number of ways, and when done right, it can really change the experience both players and game masters have. Before we go too deep into improving your RP skills, let's discuss what makes role-playing so important. Number 1, character depth. The fun part of creating a character is acting out all those personality quirks you put into the character. One of the reasons why I suggest developing better backstories and personality in my previous videos is because this is where it pays off. Role-playing allows all that hard work you put into your character to be seen by the entire group playing the game. So, if you've watched my previous videos, you should have a pretty well-developed character, and now's the time to learn those RP skills and show everyone just how awesome your new character is. Number 2, the interplay of characters. Some of the most enjoyable moments in a TTRPG are when all the characters are interacting, usually at a tavern or a campsite. Whether this helps develop the characters or is just heroes sharing their stories, if the whole group can come together with their characters, then you will have a wonderful experience in group storytelling. More than that, some of these experiences will help you develop your character, and of course, will become great stories further down the road when you talk about some of your crazier RP experiences. Number 3, justifying decisions. Being able to act as your character allows you to justify your actions. If you do so as your character, it works out a lot better than saying, "I'm lawful good, so that's what I do." While meta moments can be fun, the story works so much better when you can play things through. Plus, ethical discussions between heroes can lead to some interesting interactions as well. After all, a paladin and a rogue probably won't agree on how to deal with a situation, and working through that to better both characters and to come with a solution that makes everyone in the party happy is, of course, what storytelling is all about. Number 4, creating a real world. As a DM, it is your job to make the world that the players are experiencing feel as real as possible. Making the NPCs feel more real will help the players have a much more enjoyable time. Now, not all characters need to be totally fleshed out, but the major NPCs should feel like real people and not automata who only have pre-written lines to say to the party. Taking a little time to make the world feel lived in will always make the game experience more enjoyable for everyone, and will allow the players to feel more comfortable role-playing as well. Number 5, be someone else. Finally, one of the aspects of role-playing is that you don't have to be you. You get to be someone else. And let's face facts. You may not be a powerful wizard in real life. You're probably not a space cowboy or some sort of psychic warrior from the future. But when you play an RPG, you can be those things. You made your hero, now you get to play as your hero, and enjoy the game as that hero. As a DM, you get to be kings, robots, or any number of monsters, making your experience also a very fun one when you can mess with the party by adding in voices or other silly things to make these important NPCs stand out. Embrace being something new, and make your game the best it can be. Obviously, there are plenty of reasons to show just how fun role-playing can actually be. So, without further ado, here are a few tips to help you be the best role-player you can be. Number 1. Think like your hero. First step is to put yourself in your hero's mindset. If you have a greedy wizard, then have your mind on your money and your money on your mind. While playing a pirate with a heart of gold, try to evoke the "I don't care, but I really kind of do" feeling that would come along with a character like that. You can usually try to separate your character's feelings and beliefs into usually a very simple sentence. I want to do good. I like money. Fighting is fun, etc., etc. Once you've gotten yourself in that right mindset, the process of acting like your character becomes a lot easier. Even just focusing on 1 or 2 traits will help you on your way toward playing your character the best you can. Number 2. Mimic an existing character. Sometimes you might have trouble thinking like your hero. In that case, try to find a similar hero in terms of personality that you can mimic in order to act out your current character. For example, if you have a tough loner, why not look at characters like John Wick or Batman as your template? However, don't try to make your character a knockoff or a carbon copy of one of these other existing heroes. Most people will find that silly or outright lazy. What you want to do is to think of how the character acts in that movie, TV show, video game, and try to replicate that with your character. You want to do a voice that is evocative of that character, but not exactly that character? Go for it. But if you have trouble finding someone similar to your hero, then ask around. It's likely someone will be able to suggest a fictional hero you can use as your template. Heck, just doing a quick Google search or YouTube search might even give you the same results. Number 3. Taking basic classes. A little experience in acting or improvisation is very helpful. However, this is not to say you need to rush out to your local acting school or anything like that. There are plenty of basic classes or discussions on improv styles on YouTube. A little bit of searching and watching will be very helpful when smoothing out your roleplay style. Simple tips and exercises can really help you just kind of get into a character's mind and feel more comfortable saying relatively silly things at the table. Like many things in life, it just requires a little bit of education and a little bit of practice, and before you know it, you'll be great at pretending to be someone else. Number 4. Know your source material. Like with any game, knowing the rules and understanding the world are very helpful. If you have a basis of knowledge on the world and your character's experiences within that world, you will have a much better way of acting as your character. If you're beginning in a specific region, learn a little bit about the area, come up with a reason for why your character is there, and make sure you know what your character would know when traveling into that region. In addition to that, having knowledge about your character's race, job, religion, etc. can also be helpful, and you can learn most of this information in a multitude of ways. Many games have novels that you can read. They have, of course, source books, oftentimes with plenty of flavor text, and there are even online resources where people have posted information about this and that. Wikis are incredibly helpful for just getting the basic information you need about a region, a race, a religion, etc. in your world. However, not every game has the same quality of wikis, so just keep that in mind. Once you've learned the minor amount of information you need to know to progress with your character, you'll be able to act out things that you wouldn't normally be able to do because you would understand their status in society, their connection to a region or a culture, and most importantly, the things they don't know, which would allow other characters to fill them in. Number 5. Pre- and post-game discussions. Before a game session starts and after a game session has ended are great times to discuss your level of role-playing with the group. Other players and the GM should be able to give you some helpful feedback or ease your worries when it comes to game behavior. Knowing what level of role-playing is expected and how to adjust your role-playing skills to that level are very important for social interactions at the table. In addition to that, getting feedback on how well you did or didn't do can also help you prepare for the next session and allow yourself to play better next time. This is even more important if you're playing with new people, because everyone has their own idea about what level of roleplay is acceptable or expected, and by being able to talk with everyone so that everyone knows where they are all standing on the same page would really help out in making game sessions a lot more comfortable and enjoyable for everybody. Number 6, take your time. Everyone wants to be an expert on their first try, but everyone will make mistakes and will need to learn from them and grow as a result. It'll take time to get your role-playing style together. When jumping into a new hero, you will probably need to take some time to adjust your style as well. Don't think you need to master this kind of thing from the get-go, because you probably won't. Even if you've had acting classes or improv classes or anything like that, you may still have difficulty adjusting into a fantasy world, or a science fiction world, or whatever kind of world your game takes place in. Just know that it takes time to build your skills as you play, and before you know it, role-playing will become more of a natural thing that you will be able to adjust on the fly based on the situations in the game. Number 7. A few final notes. So, I do have a few key points on role-playing that don't really fit into a full section. Let's get through them quickly. Voices are fun, but aren't mandatory. If you think a voice or accent would help improve your character, then use it. But if you don't feel comfortable using voices or accents, or you think it would be a little too silly, then don't. No pressure. If anyone makes you feel uncomfortable with how they role-play, make sure to tell the group. Sometimes problems that can occur between players can be ended with a simple discussion, especially when some people have different expectations for how role-playing works and what is acceptable behavior at the table. It's okay to be quiet. There are plenty of people in the real world, myself included, who are introverts and don't really say much until they feel comfortable with a group of people. Well, probably the same thing happens in a fantasy world. You can be the introvert. No one's going to have a problem with that. Perhaps you can even use this to develop your character by finding that one player you do feel comfortable talking with and having character conversations that could, of course, point out that you're an introvert and not really comfortable being surrounded by however many people are in the party at all times. Be understanding of other players. If you're skilled in role-playing and you're teamed up with a bunch of newbies, don't go getting on their cases about it. Understand that you were a newbie at one point too, and you needed guidance just like they do now. In addition to that, as a DM, if your players don't really want to roleplay or aren't really good at it, don't try to force them into it. Just try to be understanding of each other, try to help each other grow as players, and hopefully everything will work out. Finally, the most important rule of them all. Have fun. I've said this in every video, and I probably will say it until the very end of this series, that it's always important to remember that this is a game, and the point of a game is to have fun. If you feel miserable at the end, if you didn't enjoy yourself, then you need to talk to your DM or the other players. Having fun's the most important part. Whether having fun to you is being very simple if you roleplay, or being very elaborate if you roleplay, have that fun, but also make sure, as best you can, that everyone else is having fun too. I hope this was helpful with improving your role-playing skills. As I said, this is a very complex subject, and unless I'm dealing with a very specific issue, there isn't much else I can really say, outside of generalities. If you have issues with your role-playing that you would like me to discuss, please let me know in the comments, and I will try to get to them when I can. In addition to that, if there are other subjects in tabletop role-playing or role-playing games in general you would like me to explore, let me know in the comments as well. I do take those into consideration when planning out the next episode. Until next time, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe so that you can be the first to see my next Bardic Inspo video. Until then, I'm the Dapper Bard, and I'll see you at the tavern.